Welcome to the Freelancer's Friend, episode 12.
But overall, I spend 95% of my day writing and the business comes in automatically. So the retainers have been awesome for saving time and increasing my profitability per hour, which is important when you're a freelancer.
If you want to enjoy a thriving freelance business, then learning from others with the knowledge and experience is invaluable. Our guest this time is highly successful freelance copywriter Kenzi Wood, and in this episode we chat about client retention and how it's a major factor in Kenzi's success, how to enjoy a reliable and consistent income by getting clients on a retainer, some great tips for freelance copywriters and tips if you write your own copy, and also some good advice about getting referrals for your business. So let's get on with it. Welcome, Kenzi. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me.
You're welcome. And where are you calling from?
So I am calling in from, I'm in the USA. I'm in San Antonio, Texas.
And I see you started kickboxing over there very recently.
Yes. It's unrelated to my business, but I've been on like this health journey since October and I've lost like 25 pounds. It's been incredible. But I started kickboxing and it is kicking my butt. I do that in between work. And I will say it's nice having the flexibility of a freelance schedule and trying to do active things outside of work because I can go to the gym at 10 a.m. and I don't have to tell anybody, so it's been really good for my mental health and my physical health. So freelancing is where it's at.
Yeah, you can do that sort of thing when you're freelancing, and exercise is definitely important for people who work at home anyway.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I know. I'm at my standing desk right now, actually. Got to get my legs stretching.
All right. I think I'm too old for a standing desk. No. I need a seat.
Well, you got to get a kangaroo mat so you're not standing on the hard floor. That was a game changer. But yeah,
kangaroo mat.
Yep, kangaroo mat.
What's one of those?
It's like a really thick pad that you stand on. It's like plastic, but they use them in like commercial kitchens. And so you're not standing on the ground, it's squishy. And it is so comfortable. It is so comfortable. I love it. I'm standing on one right now.
Okay, I'll have to look into that. Now, you worked as a marketing manager in several small businesses and even Fortune 500 enterprises, but in the end you realised that writing was your main passion. So you began writing as a side hustle, but it led to you turning that into a full-time business about 2.5 years ago. Can you say a little bit about how that happened, how you transitioned from being an employee to becoming a full-time freelancer?
Of course, I'd love to. So I call my career trajectory a happy accident. I know many people aspire to be a freelancer, and that was never an aspiration of mine. I fell into it quite accidentally. So I went to college for marketing. I had a career in marketing. I really loved it, actually. I really like doing it, the actual work itself. But I mean, nobody wants to sit at a desk for 40 hours a week. And it's like, man, I want to live my life, right? I want to go do things outside of work. And I enjoyed what I did, but the 9-to-5 doldrum just wasn't for me. But I had started writing on the side because I went to a private university and the student loans were very expensive here in the United States. So I wanted to pay them off. And I got onto the freelancing platform Upwork to just see what I could get. And it was $50 here, $50 there. It wasn't much at first. But more people found me. And before I knew it, I was making $3,000 a month on the side with my full-time job. That was after a lot of work, mind you. But I did the math and I was like, wait a minute. Proportionally for the hours I'm spending, I could make more money in less time freelancing than I do at my full-time job. So I made myself a promise. I said if I could consistently hit at least $3,000 in income on the side for 3 months in a row, that was proof enough that this wasn't some crazy idea and that I could do it full-time. And I exceeded those goals significantly because I really wanted to make it work. So I put in my 2 weeks notice at my job and I started my business 2 weeks later, it was just crazy. And here we are almost 3 years later. And so, it's like a dream. It's wonderful. I'm so glad I did it.
That's a really good start. I don't think that many people get off to such a really good start. I'm guessing that your marketing background helped a lot when you initially started.
Yeah, I think it did. It definitely gave me an idea of what to do and what not to do. So a lot of freelancers, it's weird. A lot of people create a website and then they would do pay-per-click marketing on LinkedIn or Facebook to get clients. I knew not to do that because PPC is very expensive. And for the clients I wanted to attract, it just didn't make sense. And then email marketing, it can work for a lot of freelancers, but frankly, I just didn't have the time or the capacity. So I knew not to do those things. And I was like, I need to take a more grassroots approach, a more organic approach, and do more relationship marketing. So that's how I found most of my clients, was just, contacting people on LinkedIn and finding people on freelancing platforms, and basically just knowing what not to do was immensely helpful in not blowing all of my money right out of the gates.
Yeah, makes sense. Now, freelancers are always looking for new clients and maybe don't think as much about client retention or making sure clients remain as ongoing clients. You say client retention is the reason that your business is highly successful, and that having clients on a retainer is the main aspect of that. Is that right?
That is correct. So what happened was I started my business and I had some clients from my side hustle days, but you need more clients than that when you're doing it full time. So Victor, I spent probably 1 to 2 hours every day, if not more, pitching new clients, and it eats up so much time. And I was pitching to these people who only wanted a one-off project. So I would get $500 and think, woohoo, I'm doing really well. But then they wouldn't come back. They only needed just someone to write a one-off report. And I realized, because I was going after people like that, I had no regular source of income. I had no idea what I would make this month. I had to go out and hunt down new clients if I wanted to make money. And I tracked my time. You can use any free time tracking software. I like to use Timular. So I used that to track my time. And I realized how much time I was wasting pitching people. And I thought, I got into this to actually do the writing. Why am I doing so much pitching? I'm not doing what I want to do. So that's when I shifted my focus to focus on retaining people and going after clients who wanted a long-term relationship. And when I did that, I basically spend no time pitching today, maybe 10 to 15 minutes just to check up on some of my usual spots, some of my normal clients. But overall, I spend 95% of my day writing, and the business comes in automatically. So the retainers have been awesome for saving time and increasing my profitability per hour, which is important when you're a freelancer.
Of course. Now, just in case the listener doesn't know what a retainer is, it's basically where the client kind of reserves your time on a monthly or a regular basis, so that you're kind of on call, or you've kind of got an agreement of how much work you're going to do per period. That's basically what a retainer is. So no doubt you have some kind of customer journey that your clients go through to end up as an ongoing client. Do all your clients go straight on to a retainer arrangement? That's hard to say, retainer arrangement.
It's a tongue twister. No. So most people, for freelance writing, they do want a consistent voice with all of their content, but they are understandably very choosy with who they work with. They want to make sure that you're going to turn the work in on time, which is apparently a very difficult thing for many freelancers to do. So if you manage to turn your work in on time, you are a unicorn.
Yeah, it goes a long way.
Yeah, it goes a long way, and it's so simple. So that's the first thing. The second thing is they just want to see what you're like to work with. So most of my clients, and I want to see what they're like to work with, because there's nothing worse than being locked into a retainer with someone who's horrible, because then you're stuck with them for 6 months. and it's off. They'll make your life hell. So being choosy with everyone should be choosy. The clients should be choosy. Freelancers should be choosy. So when people get started, I typically do not recommend a retainer immediately. What I recommend is we do an a la carte project. So in my case, I do writing. So I say, okay, you want 4 blogs a month. Let's start with 1, see how it goes. And then from there, we can create a proper contract for a retainer and then start that way. And most people are happy to do that. It's very rare that I have someone who is so eager to do a retainer that they don't want to do a paid piece, because paid pieces or a test piece is good for me too. So I like doing them. So that's usually the first step. 95% of the time we do that initial piece and they say, yes, we want to do a retainer. When it doesn't work out, it's usually because I don't want to work with them, or it's like, it's a style thing. They say, I don't think your voice or your expertise is quite what we're looking for. But usually it does work out. So it's been a really good way of ensuring I have quality clients who want to work with me for an ongoing basis.
So when did you work out that that's a good strategy? I'm guessing that you didn't have clients on a retainer when you were doing work on Upwork, when you were doing it as a side hustle. How did that?
I had gone full time, and it didn't take me long to realize I was wasting a lot of time pitching. I was like, man, I'm wasting like hours. And pitching is not fun. I know some people like it. I'm a marketer and I still hate it. Like, I don't like it. So you get sick of it very quickly. And probably 2 months into doing this full time, I realized that this was not sustainable. So if I wanted to increase my earnings, I had to try something different. And so I continued with the one-off projects to ensure that I still had money coming in. And some of those one-off projects on platforms like Upwork, they would say, hey, we really like what you do. We do want to work together. So some people you can convert into a retainer. I would approach the client and I would say, I noticed that you want 2 blogs a month. If you can guarantee that you'll do those 2 blogs a month, I can slightly decrease the price per piece and we'll get on a retainer. And so, I give them a due date. I'm going to give it to you on, every other Friday of the month. It's, coming your way. You don't have to worry about it. And then it's a little bit cheaper for them. So clients obviously like cheaper content. So offering just a modest discount is a great way to incentivize clients to get onto a retainer if they aren't sure.
Sounds good. One of my best clients ever came from when I was doing a bit of work on people per hour, and they stayed with me for about 5 years.
Oh, wow.
But how did you personally calculate how much to charge for your retainer?
Well, so I have a standard rate that I do for a la carte pieces. So it's 25 cents per word for blogs. Things like web copy and emails, those are always a flat fee that I just have to look at the scope to tell someone how much it is. But just for the sake of example, let's say blogs. So, if it's a $100 blog normally, and they're on a retainer, I have to look at the volume, right? So if they only want 2 $100 blogs a month, that's $200. That's not very much. So because it's such a small quantity, I can't guarantee a very big discount because there's not a lot of work coming my way. And I explain that to my customers. So I say, okay, you're committing to 2. So I basically look at my hourly rate. So I look at my the hours I spend working every month and my income, and I use that data to figure out how much I earn per hour. So on average, I earn $80 to $100 an hour. So I look at that and say, okay, how much of this work can I do in an hour? Is it worth it to me financially? And how much of a break can I give these people? And if I'm being completely honest, sometimes the discount depends on how much I like them. Like if they're kind of a pain and they are finicky and they're always asking for revisions and, oh, could you add this? And I have to build that into my pricing because I know they're going to be difficult to work with and they're going to take more time out of my day. So if a client's like that, I don't give them as good of a discount. But just for sake of example, a $100 piece, maybe I knock it down to 80 or 90. So it's still a good enough discount where it saves them 20 to 40 bucks a month, which for my smaller clients, they appreciate. It can be a steeper discount for larger clients. I have some pieces that are $600 normally that I do for $450 just because it's a larger amount of work and the client is easier to work with. So I give them a better discount. So I would say if you're trying to figure out discounting on retainers, make sure you're still profitable. So you need to know how much you need to earn per hour to cover your expenses. Don't give them a discount just for the sake of it. Make sure it's an intelligent discount. So for example, if you're on a call with a client and you're offering them a retainer, I'm bad at math, so I would never tell someone my retainer price they're on the call. I need to sit down with the calculator and make sure I'm telling them the right number because I need to look at what my...
It's always wise to step back and...
You never want to blurt out a number.
A lot of copywriters and freelancers in general can undercharge for their services. What would you say are the steps to take to make sure that you're charging or you're able to charge a decent fee that the work is worth?
Mm-hmm. And that is the age-old challenge, right? Mm-hmm. I believe in being very transparent with my pricing with other freelancers. So I'm a member of just some freelancer communities that you can find on, Facebook and LinkedIn. Don't be afraid to ask people what they charge. In my opinion, if someone is being shady about what they charge, I think that's contributing to the issue where clients don't want to pay a livable wage for our work because they're used to these really low rates. When we all share this information, we can start to understand what a fair market rate is. So mine tends to be in the 25 cent per word range. There are some writers who would say, that's too low. And there are others that say, that's so expensive. I can't imagine charging that. So sometimes the market will dictate what you can charge fairly. For example, if I charged like $1 per word for some of my clients, they would say absolutely not. Other clients would say absolutely. So it also depends on what your client is willing to pay, and you have to tread very carefully with how price conscious they are. So it's definitely an art, but it starts with talking to other freelancers. Don't be shy. I would say you're not in competition with them because every freelancer is so different. So I'm a content writer. There are millions of them, but people choose to come with me for a reason. And I refer people to other freelancers who can do the job better than I can. So don't be afraid to share your prices. I promise you, it's not a trade secret. So that is the best way to charge fairly.
Yeah, it comes up a lot that one of the best things you can do is to chat with and network with other people either in the same industry or just freelancers in general, just to get their take on things. Mm-hmm. So if the listener is doing their own copywriting at the moment for their business, do you have any general tips on getting the most out of their writing?
Oh my gosh, yes. Please edit everything you write. I work with some clients who it's just them as the CEO. They write everything and they don't even look at it again. They just put it on the website, which is good if you're guilty of perfectionism and you spend too much time looking at things. And so some people do that to get over that. You don't have to do that. You don't have to pay for an editor either if you have a small budget. I'm a professional writer and I don't have the budget to pay for an editor. So what I do is I use a couple of free tools that plug into Google Docs and plug into your email service provider. So Grammarly is the one I think that all of us talk about. They have a free version. I've tried the premium version and I didn't need it. And I write all day. So you guys can probably get by with just free. It will find typos and it will tell you if your grammar is bad. There is also another tool called WordTune, and that is good for copywriting for your website specifically. So if you've written your website and it just feels kind of flat, put it through WordTune and it will suggest snappier copy, and it will shorten the phrases and make them just read better. So use those free tools to edit your own writing if you can't afford an editor.
Good stuff. Is there any more you can say about client retention, or do you think we've covered the main points of that?
Oh, there's so much we could say about client retention. So the big fear I had on retention was someone leaving, because losing your client is the worst thing in the world, because a retainer gives you a set amount of money every month that you come to depend on. And that was my first mistake, is never depend on anything as a freelancer. Expect the unexpected. So when the pandemic hit, for example, last year, I lost half of my retainers,
Right.
half of them.
You were prepared for that?
I was not prepared for that. I actually cried. I did. I confess I cried.
That's understandable.
It was so upsetting. So retainer clients, just because you're used to working with them, they will still leave. You can try to ask them to commit to 3, 6, or 12-month contracts. But even then, there's always going to be a cancellation clause in there. Legally, you have to let them cancel it. They can still leave. So that's why it's important to still look for new clients while you have your retainer clients. Don't become so comfortable. The other half of that is you have to work to earn retainer clients' business every month. So that also means replying to their emails on time, honoring due dates, being helpful, maybe adding more value to the relationship over time. So an example is I have a client who said, man, we really need to start sourcing images for our content. Do you know where I can source images? And they were just asking me what sites to use. And I said, well, that takes me 5 minutes. I'll just do it for you. And so to them, I'm saving them probably 20 minutes of research. It takes me no time at all. So try to add more value to the retainer client relationship over time. So that way they want to keep working with you. Make it as difficult as possible for them to look at their budget and say, ooh, we need to cut the freelancer out of the budget. Make it as difficult as possible for them to cut you out. The more irreplaceable you are, the better. A good sign is to know if like a retainer client wants to offer you a full-time job, that means they love you. It happens to me quite frequently. So you're on the right track if they want to work with you so much.
Yeah, good advice. I'm sure there's been times when I've, instead of charging for something in particular, I've told the client that they don't really need to pay for that, or they can save money in this way or that way, just for the sake of keeping a good relationship with them and actually helping them.
And I think that's good for trust building too. They're like, oh, Victor isn't trying to nickel and dime me. He must be a good person. And then that's how you get referrals too. That's the other side of retainers, is people telling their friends about you and saying, hey, I worked with this agency and they told me to work with you. That's a great free way to get qualified leads that you don't have to do any work to get other than just being a good freelancer. So,
exactly.
Yeah, it's karma.
Karma, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I understand that you've gained a lot of business through referrals. Would you say that referrals are a good or a bad strategy?
It's a double-edged sword. So again, I think it depends on the referral source, right? So if you have a great high quality client who says, hey, I have a friend at this other business I work with and they want a writer, and I told them about you. And at first you think, woohoo, free business. I didn't have to go pitch anybody. I didn't have to do cold emailing. Oh my gosh, it saves so much time, right? Referrals are great. And in many ways, referral leads are already qualified. They're interested. Someone that they know has told them how great you are. So they need a little bit less persuasion as far as signing a contract and working together. So they already trust you. You have to be careful with referrals though, because sometimes people want to be too helpful and maybe they don't understand that they're a good client, but their friend might not be a good client. Sometimes I get these referrals and they sound great, and I get on a call with the referral, and personality wise, I would never have chosen to even have a phone call with them because we are so incompatible. They're just kind of deadpan, and sometimes they don't even know what they want, and it's just really hard to get anything out of them. So you have to assess the quality of a referral. The quality of the client who refers you is a big one. If that client is unreliable or doesn't respect you, or they're difficult to work with, and they refer you to someone, that client's probably going to be the same way. So you got to be careful when you take those referrals. Some people will do referral fees as like finder's fees. I personally don't do those because I think it incentivizes people to send every lead they can find.
Anybody they can get.
Yeah, anybody. And so some of these phone calls I've been on, frankly, they are a waste of time. So I would not offer a finder's fee for that reason. It's a great idea, but it doesn't work out in practice. So with referrals, some of my best clients have been referrals, but I would say don't take every single one that comes your way. Be very skeptical about them. Vet the referral before you even hop on a call with them. Look at their website, see if they have a YouTube channel. It's really helpful to see how they speak, their personality. Sometimes I can eliminate someone just based on that. Look them up before you talk to them, because you don't want to be on an hour-long call with someone who is just not a good fit,
And even then, I suppose if you've vetted them and they seem okay, you've still got to give it a trial run first, just to be sure, like you were saying earlier.
Yeah, I think almost all of my projects start with a trial. Oh, and you know what? If any other freelance writers are here, stop doing free work. Don't do an unpaid trial test. Oh, it's only 200 words. It's only 400 words. Don't do it. You're undervaluing yourself. You're undervaluing every other freelancer's work. And guess what? Some businesses will approach you for an unpaid test piece. You'll hand it over and you'll never hear from them again. It is unfortunately a scam that some businesses use to steal from you. They're stealing from you. Even a short 200 test piece, I spend an hour on that because I still have to do research. I still have to learn about the client. I spend a lot of work on this. So please don't do that. Don't do free work. You don't work for free. Exposure doesn't pay the bills. I've had big name publications, big ones that if my name were on it, it would be a big deal. Want to do unpaid test pieces, and I always refuse them. The best way to say it is when a client says, oh, you don't mind doing an unpaid piece, right? And I say, you know what? I'm not able to work for free or take on unpaid projects, but I can offer a 400 word piece for, $80 or whatever you charge. You can charge maybe a more modest fee or reduce the scope, but don't work for free, guys. It's not worth it. I promise. It's not a good client. Don't do it.
Damn good advice. So there's one more question, but first, what's the main place where people can find out more or contact you, that sort of thing?
Yeah, I am at kenzywrites.com, or you guys can just follow me on LinkedIn. I like to share tips about freelancing, solopreneurship, and entrepreneurship. So check me out there.
So you've got a YouTube channel too?
Yes, I have a YouTube channel, but I would like to rework it. But yes, people can follow me there as well.
And here's the question I ask every guest. What's the one most important thing to do or be for freelancing success?
What's the most important thing? In my experience, it has been working through fear. So sometimes you're dealing with a really big potential project. I had a $10,000 project come into my lap one day and I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. And you kind of freak out because you think, I'm not worth that. Like, who's going to pay that for my work? You start to talk down to yourself and you you try to diminish your worth. And it's scary. And so it's tempting to just not deal with it because it's scary. It was scary learning how to incorporate my business here in the United States as an LLC. It was scary hiring my first virtual assistant. It was scary trying to dump a client who wasn't working with me, who I didn't like working with. You're going to have scary stuff happen to you all the time. And what I have learned is that it's totally fine to not feel confident. It's fine to feel scared. Just put a blanket over your head while you're typing the emails. I do that quite literally.
Could work, yeah.
I hide under a blanket if I'm scared, and do it anyway. And I have a quote on my wall right now. It says, "Courage is knowing what not to fear." And, unless a mountain lion is chasing you, there's really you don't need to be scared of running your business. So it's okay to feel afraid, but do it anyway.
Do it anyway. Brilliant. Thanks for joining us, Kenzi. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks so much, Victor. I had a good time.